Habari ma Africa, mimi ni King. Nina furaha kukutana na wewe. Asante kwa kutanzama King Said So. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got quite a lot to talk about. Let's start with Gogo Zille from the Democratic Alliance, because in a recent interview with Dr. Cyril Ramaphosa, she has made it clear that the DA will stay in this abusive relationship with the ANC because they fear from the bottom of their heart that ANC might, go with a minority government or even work with the EFF and the MK. And that is the two-third majority that we African people are crying for. So another thing that she said that was very interesting, making a comparison with how things are working in Germany, where she comes from. I think her ancestral lineage is coming from Germany. She said, listen, you have to have a proportional system in government when it comes to the electoral results. You have to have a threshold that if a political party does not get more than 5% or 5% plus, they should not be represented in any spheres of government. And I'm kind of agreeing with that, because that will force small political parties to move into the big black political parties. For me, I would agree with that. We will have less of this clownery of division in the African country. Mamuloko has been reshuffled by Cyril Ramaphosa with Thembi. The other one is going to the Department of Human Settlement, and the other one is moving to the Department of Justice. It's just a sim swap, actually, that Cyril Ramaphosa had did, and this has angered many people because they believe that Thembi Simelane, Nkadimeng, was caught with a hand in the cookie jar when it comes to this VBS saga. But Cyril Ramaphosa has decided to do what she did. Mary Pandi has come back from the courts or from the streets. The courts have ruled in her favor to say she must go back and be reinstated in all the positions that she was dismissed from when it comes to the MK political party. Then my question is she now the provincial convener? What is going to happen to Busisiwe Mkhwebane? What type of confusion is going on here? And again, if you've got a political party that has suspended you, whether they followed their due processes or not, do you want to stay in that political party? It's going to be very interesting to see how this whole thing of Umeri is going to unfold there. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma herself has said she wouldn't have went with the Democratic Alliance. She would not work with them because there are just too many differences that they have with the ANC. I want to touch a little bit on what she said. And finally, Cyril Ramaphosa is saying, listen, with Nigeria, we're trying to work with Nigerians. We want to see their products on the South African shelf. And also, we want to hand out a visa where they can come into South Africa visa free. So, for 5 years, unlimited entry to South Africa without even producing a passport. How interesting is this, ladies and gentlemen? Many South Africans are angered by this because, the feud between South Africa and Nigeria. South Africans are having none of that. But I want us to discuss it on another level so that we can try to unpack what is happening, because South Africans don't want integration with Africa, but South Africa as a country wants to integrate with other African countries. So how do you find the balance between the two? Let's talk about that and much more.
Welcome to King Said So, Africa's one land, one language, one currency, one army on King Said So. Africans can unite. Your Pan-Africanist podcast. Enjoy.
Peace in Pan-Africanism to all my African brothers and sisters from all around the world. Welcome back to King Said So. I'm your host, Kagiso Hlongwane Zinjiva Ngwane Sono, and we're back at it again with another one. And this time around, I'm discussing quite a few interesting breaking news that has been making rounds on social media, starting with Gogo Zille. If I was the ANC, I would abuse the hell out of the Democratic Alliance, because it looks like this abusive woman who keeps on giving their husband or the boyfriend many second chances after he has beaten her up. the DA is quite clearly stating that, listen, no matter even if you sign the Bella Bill, even if you sign the NHI, no matter what you do, ANC, we are with you forever. And this is going to hurt the DA also when it comes to the electoral support. I strongly believe it is. But Gogo Zille is sitting right there in front of us and saying, listen, guys, we are not going to allow the ANC to work with the EFF or the MK, or even a minority government that is going to be disastrous. A minority government, for me, I think will work out better for South Africans, because parties will have a fair expression in parliament. But anyway, some people would disagree with that. So for me, if it was a minority government, I would have been happy. The ANC continue with their majority, but as the big party in parliament, but constantly has to convince all the other parties when it comes to policies passing and budget passing and all of those things. But let's talk about what Gogo Zille said about the DA leaving the government of national confusion.
So what option is available, though? So if they do go ahead and push through these policies, because I'm asking this because the ANC has now dared you as the DA to leave the GNU if you want, or stop undermining the party and try weakening it from within. That's what Fikile Mbalula said recently at a press briefing. Is there an option here to pull out of the GNU?
Well, that is the nuclear option, and it certainly is an option, but you can only use it once. So obviously we'd want to try and resolve the problems, because if we go out of the GNU, you'll have either a minority government, which will be totally unstable, or you will have an ANC, EFF, MK coalition, which is what Paul Mashatile wants, which will destroy South Africa's economy within a week. The amount of disinvestment, the amount of international revision of the approach to South Africa, we'd be kicked out of AGOA as well. I mean, we must understand what the stakes are here.
Do you think we'll be kicked out of AGOA if the GNU doesn't survive?
I think we could be kicked out of AGOA anyway. President Trump's not playing. I mean, I've just been to the United States, and I spoke at a seminar there.
You know what this racist political party will always do to South African is to dangle this thing that our economy will continuously be unstable if the DA was not in control. I mean, how did Jacob Zuma and his administration spend R1 trillion on infrastructure to develop our economy? How did Thabo Mbeki do well without the DA? You understand? It's only Cyril Ramaphosa that cannot point out on actually good achievements, and he's trying to do it with this Bella Bill and all the other stuff to improve the quality of South Africans' life. But when the Democratic Alliance sees that they have been pushed to a corner, always what they will do is to play the international card. Her speaking about AGOA, AGOA is the US trading with African countries. I think there's about 32, if I'm not mistaken, 32 African countries that are on the list of AGOA. So, and the others are not, and you can imagine which others are not trading. You obviously not going to have Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. So the countries that are pro-African, like Sudan, Ethiopia, and all of those countries, you're not going to find them on that list, because the US wants to continue to control us. So all of those countries that are on the list, they are begging for the market of the US. I think it has something like 1,800 products that they can offer to South Africa. I mean, not to South Africa, to Africa, and have that trade relationship so that African countries can have access to the US market. That's what AGOA is. And she's saying, listen, President Trump is not playing around with that. We will be taken out of AGOA if the ANC works with the EFF and the MK. And the question is then, so what? And South Africans don't want this. They don't want that so what question. Take us out, it's fine. We'll find another market. Luckily for South Africa, we still have BRICS. And if the US corners South Africa, Russia, and China and India into one economy, you can imagine how many billion of people that you are trying to push into one corner. They're going to do good in there. So for me, I don't take the threats of the economy will close, the economy will shut down, the economy will suffer because of African people working together, that we always need a white master so that we can be puppets and listen to them. That nonsense must end. And also in this interview with Dr. Cyril Ramaphosa, I did not watch the whole interview. I don't want to lie. But I saw the clips that were floating on X, and I decided, okay, let me speak about this issue that Zille is talking about, proportion in terms of representative of the political party in parliament and in strategic, provincial structures.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest challenge is that we don't have any thresholds in our coalitions. Now, let me tell you what that means. In any country that has a proportional system and therefore has coalitions, they have what is known as a threshold. So in Germany, it's a high threshold. It is 5%. And if any party can't get up to 5%, then they don't get any seats in the coalition at all, or in government at all.
Yeah.
Or in that sphere of government at all. So if you, let's say, are the FDP, which is our sister party in Germany, and you get 4.5% of the vote, you don't get any representation at all in that sphere of government because you haven't met the threshold of 5%. And that is to ensure that the tail doesn't wag the dog. You've got to show that you are a serious party before you can exercise power in that government. Now, in Denmark, it's a much lower threshold. It's 2%. And in many other European countries, it's around 2%. We have none. So that means you can get a Kabelo Gwamanda, for example, as mayor of Johannesburg, where he got, let's say, 2,000 votes across the whole of Johannesburg.
Yeah.
And suddenly he's made the mayor because the tail wags the dog, because we don't have thresholds. So the DA has long been a proponent of having thresholds, which would take away a lot of the tiny little parties that swap from one side to the other and decide with, let's say, 2,000 votes in an entire metro of 6 million people, whether or not to put the ANC in power or the DA in power. Now, that's a completely distorted, undemocratic system. And that's why you've got to have a threshold. And that's why we've always supported having thresholds.
You know what? I don't remember when last did I agree with Gogo Zille, but with this one, I would agree with it. Why? Because it's going to work for the better for African people. I honestly think it would have pushed the ATM into the hands of either the EFF or the MK. Probably the ATM would have been in the hands of the EFF if this was implemented some few years ago. I like that idea that if you did not get 5%, who actually are you representing? The minority want to hold the majority with the scrotums. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, I know, man, it's fine. Let's allow big boys to compete in the big league, and allow the small boys maybe on a provincial government. It will make sense, even if they win a ward or win a region or something like that. Provincially, it will make sense. But when it comes to national, nobody must be represented in parliament if they did not manage to get a 5%. Guys, I think this is good. And I think this must be pushed for South African politics, because it will help us as African people. The DA is not going to absorb any party. The Freedom Front Plus is not going to be observed by the DA. They see themselves as the radical Afrikaner political party and see the DA as a sell-out political party. So those two parties are never actually going to sit down ever and merge together. They might vote together and support each other in certain matters, but I don't see those political parties. So I don't see which party will DA absorb into them. They can't absorb good. The Patriotic Alliance. Which other party is there? You see, I'm even struggling with remembering these small parties. So I honestly think they must join the big parties and have a bigger impact in that sense. So for me, I think that is that is a very good idea. You guys will tell me on the comment section, what do you think about 5%? Is 5% good, or do you even want to even take it up when it comes to national? You must be a 10% political party at least. I don't know. You guys will tell me. Also, Mamuloko and Thembi Nkadimeng has did a swim swap on us. Cyril Ramaphosa has decided to reshuffle, these two ministers. South Africa is a movie, guys. South Africa is a movie. So you just seem swapped the two to protect Thembi Nkadimeng. Limpopo has got power, guys. If you thought that they were going to fire this lady Thembi Nkadimeng, you don't know how strong Limpopo is. And right now we can see clearly that Limpopo has got power in the ANC. And the month-long cry of opposition parties, journalists, investigators, and everybody for Cyril Ramaphosa to deal with Thembi Nkadimeng because she got money that was, linked to a company that was linked to VBS, poor people's money, blah, 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 all of those things. People said, deal with this woman. I mean, there's investigations that are coming out to suggest that she lives well beyond her tax bracket. She's living a lavish life, And I've got quite a soft spot of Thembi Nkadimeng. I really like her. I'm sure you have heard me say this quite a few times in the party, but clearly that lady has got power in the ANC. Clearly she carries weight. She carries weight. I don't know, is she funding the ANC? What is going on? I don't know. But she's a lady that has got power in the ANC. And because she's coming from Limpopo, Limpopo is the ANC's strongest hold. So you're not going to mess around with something that is not broken. Cyril Ramaphosa has come out and did a SIM swap on South Africans. South Africans must just accept that we've got a SIM swap and we're going to live with it. Well, listen, we are South Africans. When you say cabinet reshuffle, we want the real thing. We want to see 9 ministers flying from one direction to another. And that's another thing with South Africa, is that ministry is not reserved for people with a qualification in that ministry. Mamuloko is a very good qualified person, but not for the ministry of justice. I mean, why would you? Yeah, go and try there at the Department of Justice. Go and do your best there. Don't worry, comrade will advise you, will give you advice. That is what is happening actually in South Africa. Go there in human settlement. Are you qualified in human? You don't know anything. It's fine. Go there. Go there in police. Have you ever been in the police? No, I have never been in the police. Go, you will learn on the job. It's like in 1994 where comrades were taking the government and very few of them had qualifications in those departments. Also, the funny thing is, no, go and be the Minister of Defense Force. Yeah, go and defend South Africa. You've never held a gun before. You've never ran in the boots of the soldiers. You've never worn a uniform before, but it's fine. Just go and be the Minister of Defense. It's very embarrassing in South Africa. And I don't know how you guys feel about this small SIM swap that they say Cyril Ramaphosa did. It's a joke. Hey, South Africa. Another joke that is happening here, and that is to the MK political party's direction, is Mary Party. What is going on? So, the courts have ruled into her favor. Remember the courts ruling in the MK's favor with all the other MPs and everyone. What makes this case so special that the process of the MK, of the MK that were not followed properly, that the courts can interfere in party politics? What is going on, ladies and gentlemen?
The internal process of Umkhonto weSizwe were not followed, and because of that reason, I have been reinstated as the convener of the province in Mpumalanga. I've also been reinstated as a party leader in the legislature. I'm also going to be the full member of the legislature. So all those 3 positions that I held before are the positions that I was deserving to have. other positions that were being appointed by the president. But surely, as Umkhonto Wesizwe, because we are going to 2026, and you are looking at the count behind me, so many members, the ground is here. We will be talking to the president, and we will be engaging to the president to say that the common ground and the understanding is that we are not fighting Umkhonto Wesizwe. We are just requesting that we must go to 2026 with our Ngamalala. We love Ngamalala and we want to go with Ngamalala there. That's why we are saying that these people of EFF must not come and take over what we have worked for. This province was number 2 in the country. It tells you that we've worked very hard. So
I think something that stands out from what Ausmary is saying is, guys, the people of the EFF are not going to come into the MK political party and, take all the things that we have worked hard for. Whew. It's true. It's true. Many MK people actually feel like this. That's why you see behind her, she can even point out the ground forces are here. The people are behind me. They are supporting me. Many people are not so welcoming to Busisiwe Mkhobane as the provincial convener. Here is the original provincial convener coming to party, coming back into the party, bringing the music there and saying, "Hey, Mbuyile." What now? What is the MK political party going to do with this matter? I'm pretty sure that they're going to handle it properly. But if I was here, I was not going to say these statements that she's saying. The EFF people must not come here and all that. Say that to your masses and galvanize support and tell them, guys, you need to support me because if it's not me, next time it will be you. You understand? So I do agree there are people that build the MK from the ground going up. I actually wanted to cover this, voice notes that were leaked to the internet of the MK people complaining about the unorganized manner of which MK carries out its events, people with transportation, food, and all of those things that you will closely relate to what the ANC does. I've always maintained that in this country, the EFF execute its event to the T. You hear very few complaints, if not none, from events that the EFF has hosted. Attention to detail in the EFF camp is different. And you find the MK political party that can bring that excuse to say, no, we are still an emerging political party. We are still new. So some of the things we're going to do wrong, make some mistakes. It's understandable. For them, they can bring that excuse on board. But people like Awumberi, they're going to have it very hard if the party is going to sit. Because remember, your Secretary General is from the EFF. And now you are saying, listen, we're not going to allow these EFF people to come here and take us out. So what do you think in the talks of the top leadership? Which side is he going to side with? He's going to side, obviously, with Busisiwe Mkhobane. You understand? So I don't know. You guys will tell me on the comment section. For me, it's never a good idea to make your internal frustrations publicly known like that while the fight is not over. The courts are not going to save you from the follow-up processes that the political party is going to do. So for me, it's like, again, have you ever asked yourself, when the ANC sat down, the National Executive Council, the NEC, when they sat down and spoke about which direction the ANC must take when it comes to government of national confusion, minority government, which political parties they must work with, who was agreeing that they must work with the DA? Because Mama Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma is also saying, listen, for me personally, I would have never worked with the DA.
In hindsight, having seen those problems, do you think it was a good decision to go into a GNU that involves parties like the DA?
It was an ANC decision. But at a personal level, if you want a personal view, I wouldn't have gone with the DA. Because of its history, because of what it stands for. No.
So
But
what
the
was the
ANC went with it. So we have to see if it works. But where I sit, I've just quoted you one glaring example.
Yes.
I mean, what government would a president say, this is our foreign policy, Russia is our ally.
Yes.
But a minister says, no, President, he is your ally, not ours. And he's not South Africa's ally, as though it's DNA and he's South Africa himself. No, there are problems there. But anyway.
In your personal view, what will have been the most viable option?
No, I don't want to speculate. There's GNU. Must deal with what is there. But as I say, I would not have gone with the DA.
Democratic centralism. And one day someone has to explain to the ANC who is it that was saying, listen, let's work with the DA and the Freedom Front Plus. I have a fate. Somebody must explain to us who actually was charging. We know Cyril is there. We know the Secretary General Fikile Mbalula is also there. But Fikile Mbalula, that one you can't trust it. In the future, you will turn around and say, no, I was not the one who decided this, because our Secretary General, I was defending the stance of the ANC, but this person and this person is the one that pushed us to that direction. And once this government, this marriage, convenient marriage of the government of national confusion breaks, you're gonna start hearing things from the ANC, because the top people are saying no. They're saying no. So I don't know who's going to come out and tell us the real story as to who decided on this, because it has cost the ANC votes. It has cost the ANC their alliance partners. It has cost the ANC pain. Nobody believes in the ANC because of this working with the DA. And the same goes with the DA. Some, radical racist people have said, no, man, to hell with the Democratic Alliance. They move back to the Freedom Front Plus. And you will see it reflecting on the ballot papers very soon, because people can't trust the DA anymore, because the DA is willing to go into bed with their natural number one enemy, which is the ANC. But now the DA has, like I said, made it clear that they're not going to get out of this marriage because they fear for their whole life that that the ANC would work with the EFF and the MK. If you are an ANC leader and you are hearing this, to say the white political party fears that we will work with the MK, and why would you push for that? Why ungabafaki stress? But anyway, I think the ANC is saying, listen, as long as they are saying they are not going to leave, let's continue the way we are continuing. We can differ with international stance, we can differ with policies, we can differ with whatever, but as long as they are saying that they are not going to leave us, we're going to stay there. So I'm so happy that Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma on record has said, listen, I would have not worked with this. The ANC did what the ANC did. But for me personally, I would not work with the DA. This is very important for in the future, because even Maufa, our South Africans will remind you, Maufa, lo, he was supporting de Klerk. Lo was supporting DA. South Africans, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about the Nigeria and South Africa, a 5-year multi-entry visa that the president is suggesting, to open that integration between South Africa and Nigeria in terms of the goods and services and business people that want to come from that country to South Africa. Ziyakhala manje.
We look forward to seeing more Nigerian companies investing in South Africa. In fact, we want to see Nigerian products on the shelves of South African shops. Our efforts to create a favorable environment include our simplified visa process for Nigerian business people to travel to South Africa. Qualifying Nigerian business people can be granted a 5-year multiple entry visa. In addition, tourists from Nigeria are now able to apply for a visa without even submitting a passport. We expect that this 11th session of our Binational Commission will enable us to consolidate cooperation in a number of other areas.
You know, when it comes to South Africans wanting to integrate with Africa, when it comes to South Africans wanting to work with other African countries, for me, I've drawn the line and understood that there's a difference between South Africa as a country and South Africans as citizens. Because you can experience those two things differently. You can experience South Africa differently because of who and where you stay as a South Africa. And for some people, they will tell you they don't have an issue with the tuck shops because they don't buy from the tuck shops. Depending on which class you live in South Africa, things affect you differently. So a lot of South Africa who are patriotic about their country, don't want any integration with other African countries. Almost like they want South Africa to be an island. I think many South Africans will be happy if the government came out and say no foreigner must own a business in South Africa, no foreigner must run a spaza shop, no foreigner must cut people's hair, no foreigner must do general work, no foreigner must work at a farm, no foreigner. Like, South Africans will genuinely be happy when you say that. But when you are at a government level, you understand that South Africa must integrate and work with other African countries. South African companies are doing well in Nigeria. And this issue is saying, listen, we can bring some of our goods, as South Africa is the biggest trader in Africa, exporter, and I believe importer also. I'm speaking about under correction, but exporting, importing also. South Africa is number one in Africa. So you guys can also bring some of the goods that you have. That will be a big advantage when you talk about Congo, the forest that they have there, Tanzania. There's so many other countries that have got other things that we don't have, and it's good to, for me, I would say it's good to buy them from Africa, whether it's the tomato sauce that you are buying from Burkina Faso, instead of buying a paste that is coming from Europe and all of those things. But I'm telling you right now, many South Africans don't want it. Many South Africans don't want it. They are fighting our president for saying, no, we must have a visa that has a multi-entry for 5 years and all of those things, open and inclusive and allowing conducive environment for Nigerian business people who want to come and do business here. Remember, they come and do business here, they start liking it, they stay here longer, and the next thing, they have children here. South Africans don't want that. Correct me on the comment section or not. I've constantly attacked for saying ungazozalanga le pan-Africanism yako. As if I came up with this pan-Africanism. South Africans just don't. And they act different. Remember, not so long ago, the Minister of Home Affairs said, listen, they're giving an extension on ZEP, a Zimbabwean exemption permits. They said a Zimbabwean does not have to provide a permit, a visa, a certificate, anything until next year, November. So those, meaning Zimbabweans can come and work in South Africa basically for not producing any documentation. So that is what is happening. The anger is not the same with when a black person says it and when a white person says it. In South Africa, unfortunately, we've got that type of distinction or I don't know how to describe our anger. It's always directed on another direction and not on another direction. I don't know. Maybe Zimbabwe is better than Nigeria, or what is going on. I don't know what South Africans want actually, because I'm listening to many debates and I'm like, hey, but it's Funane, South Africa. If you guys are so passionate about kicking these people out, fight again. Take them out. Take them out. Do what you guys want. In your street, ne Pakistan, do what you want to do because that's what you guys want. You don't want to follow the laws of your country. You don't want to follow the constitution of your country. You don't want anything. You just want people out. So, yenzani bafethu mina senkhathelo South African because they just don't want to integrate with Africa. South Africans wants to keep South Africa to South Africans. They don't want to share anything. And you guys will correct me on the comment section. So when you have issues, I believe you must come with solutions. And the Pan-African School of Economics, Technology and Agriculture is one of the solutions that we are having. Why are we having this solution? Because me and you, we've got a problem with the educational system. What is the problem? It's not educating our children properly. It's not teaching African morals anymore. Spirituality has been kicked out of schools. Our children are not respecting our teachers, and it translates to the communities or from the community to the school. There's no more direction into where is the African spirit in the schools. You understand what I'm saying? And we are saying if indeed South Africans one day want to take over the agricultural sector, shouldn't agriculture should be the main focus in schools? Shouldn't technology be the main focus in schools? But because any country in Africa that is behind technologically wise, they will never develop. You understand what I'm saying? We are saying children must understand economics. We are saying children must understand a proper African history before the colonizers. Is history told by Africans, scholars. All of those things are very important. So what do we want to do in Paseta? In Paseta, we want to teach history properly. We want to teach science properly. We want to teach economics properly, technology and agriculture. Those are the main faculties that our school will be focusing on. You understand what I'm saying? Whether the curriculum of South Africa is going that direction is fine. We'll move that direction. But we will add a little bit more for our children to come out as super students that South Africa has never seen. So that is the cry that we have to say, South Africans, come, let us build this school together. I'm telling you guys, when you don't get what you want in the 2029 elections. Because we are hoping MK would win. We are hoping EFF would win. What if they don't win? What if the ANC and the DA emerge again? What if? So we would have wasted all of this time complaining on TikTok, on Facebook and wherever, and YouTube, without building institutions. So I'm saying here, let's build the institutions, ladies and gentlemen. Let's stop talking. Let's build institutions. 5 years from now, we'll be far with Paseta. People will be jumping on Paseta, saying, "Oh, look at this African school." Proud, but in the beginning, they don't want to support. So I'm so happy that I have people like you who say, "King, we are with you in the beginning." If I show you the WhatsApp messages that you guys send me, even the day where I don't feel like doing anything, I just read the WhatsApp messages, and there's a lot, and I'm like, I can't disappoint these people. Paseta can't disappoint the next generation. We cannot disappoint the next generation. Our children depend on us to do something. The complaints can come, but then what is complaining going to help? You have complained enough about the education system. The question is, what are you doing? You're doing about it. So I would like to thank each and every one of you who has constantly supported the Pan-African School of Economics, Technology and Agriculture. We are launching it on doing a fundraiser the first weekend of May, ladies and gentlemen. So please make sure that you stay in the loop so that you can be updated. We'll be selling packages for you guys to come and sleep over in Kimberley. Everything that you guys will need, we'll have it on that weekend. Don't worry, we'll take care of you, from entertainment everything. We'll make sure that you enjoy your stay here in Kimberley, and we'll take you to the building site where you guys will see where Paseta is going to be. So after that fundraiser and everything, we are hoping that we'll be having enough funds to start the building project, to run it for a minimum of 12 months and a maximum of at least 24 to 36 months, and finish the school in no time. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for that. And yeah, what did I want to say? No, I think I've covered everything. So until we meet again, don't forget to pray. After you pray, stand up, African child, do your best and allow God to do the rest. Tuonane kesho. See you guys tomorrow.